What's up, guys? This is Michael with On the Offside, and today I'm here with Derek, Matt, and Colby. We're all finally here at the same time, so time to talk about the Tennessee-Alabama game, too, to start this one off. We'll be spending some time on that today. We're also going to be talking about Titans' big win over Kansas City, Saints won on Monday Night Football, just a few highlights that we'll be doing a little recap of. And then we're also going to be getting into this weekend, too, and making some predictions for y'all. So make sure and stay with us on that. So we'll go ahead and kind of get started with the Tennessee-Alabama game. As a Tennessee fan, I mean, 3 quarters looked really good. Kind of got away from them in the fourth quarter there. I can't be too upset. I do wish it had been a little closer than what the score suggested. I wish it could have hung in there for the full game. But, again, I think this, like, me personally, I think a better Alabama team beat them. And, there's really no excuse for it. That's just how it went. But I did see some positive things for Tennessee moving forward. Even beyond, I don't want to say the cliche, there's always next year, but beyond this year too, we start thinking about rebuilding this program. So it's just not kind of compete with some of the top teams again. And, like I said, for 3 quarters, we had a really good game, really close game going on there. Kind of got away from them at the end. What'd you guys think on that one? I'm sure most of you watched it, so I know Matt was. Me and him were texting back and forth. Matt.
Yeah, first of all,
we're going to look at Alabama.
Oh, sorry. Somebody put that in my way. Let me put someone else there instead. That's for those of you who don't know, that was the last time UT beat Alabama. All right, but it is my favorite time of the year. It's the time of year where I can actually finally just talk about Bama and not have to worry about it getting thrown back in my face. Yeah, Bama may drop another game, may drop 2 games, who knows, but they beat the one that I really always hope they win. I don't have to flee the country this year. My passport, is not going to get any use. So that's great. That said, it was a lot more of a anxious game than I thought it was going to be. So props to Tennessee for that. Like Michael said, took them to 4 quarters. That's definitely something. And you look at the game, there's pros and cons for each of the teams. And, what's a pro for one team was a con for the other. For Tennessee, those big passes by Hendon Hooker, they kept him in the game. I think of those 3 long passes, 2 of them for touchdowns that he had. That he did what he needed to do to set them up to take that game the distance. He had the one ugly throw at the end, but I think he made up for it with the other passes. And then on the flip side, Alabama, you gave up 3 big plays. If you don't let those plays happen, you control the game a lot better. You calm down my nerves a little bit. So it is what it is. The big positive on the other side for Bama was 3rd down on both sides of the ball. Bama was 15 out of 20 on 3rd down. And a lot of those, they weren't 3rd and 2, 3rd and 3. We're talking 3rd and 7 and 3rd and 15s, somewhere in that range. They converted those. Bryce Young, man, he just looked so clutch out there. Had the fumble on the goal line, but managed to fall on it. He really helped them that game because they, as hard as Tennessee was playing them, they really needed to keep their offense on the field. Tennessee, on the flip side, couldn't get off the field on 3rd down. They were 2 of 12 when they had the ball on 3rd down. And that was kind of the tail of the game, that and time of possession, because Bama had the ball for twice as long as Tennessee did. So, final score 52-24 looks good for Bama. But still for Tennessee, it's a positive that they did take them to 4 quarters. I do think Bama was a team that will beat UT consistently by 3 scores in this type of matchup. If you simulate this game over and over again, I guess is what I'm trying to say. But you're right. It almost was kind of a closer game than the score looks. But I feel like the score also kind of did it justice. I don't know if that makes any sense, if those two are reconcilable.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't get to watch any games this weekend, so my opinion is going to be very, I'm not going to have much of one. I can't sit here and point to a specific play. I can sit here and tell you stats and look at things and look how close the games were at certain points. And, based off the numbers that you said, the score should have been 52-24. I mean, you talk about things that are so important in football, and that's converting on third down or stopping teams on third down. I mean, those are huge things. But, on the flip side, you tell me that the score's, 31-24 with 14 and a half minutes left in the fourth quarter. You're like, what happened for the final score to be 52-24? So, I mean, again, didn't get to watch the game, but, as a Tennessee fan, I was encouraged just by knowing that we stuck with a team that's that good. I mean, Alabama is the standard in college football. So to even give an Alabama fan some anxiety is a good thing under a first year with Heupel, and I think it gives me a lot of hope for him moving forward. And I think he is a really good coach, and I don't, and I know we'll talk more about Tennessee's season down the road as we go, but the only game that I don't think Tennessee's got a shot at winning is Georgia now. So, and I think they've gotten a lot better as the seasons went. I think if we replayed Florida, it'd be a different game. I think we've made that much progress. So.
Yeah. I feel like you guys touched on basically everything in the game. It's something where you can take positives and negatives from both teams. Ultimately, as I think fans for both teams should be happy with the performance. Alabama took care of business. Tennessee put up a fight. Made it interesting for 3 quarters. I feel like the big news, though, just UT fans, Harrison Bailey. I think that's something that we all saw coming. It'd be really interesting where he ends up. I've already seen that Ole Miss and Lane's kind of got his nose in there. I don't know. I think that's going to be interesting. I'd like to see Bailey be successful somewhere. I think he's going to be a good QB in the right system, especially if he's going to Lane.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see there. I did see that. Kind of sucks for Tennessee because as a Tennessee fan, you think if Hendon Hooker doesn't stay next year, I feel like Bailey could have eventually been the guy. But I don't know. Maybe he just didn't fit with their offense and how it was going there. But kind of going back to the Alabama-Tennessee game, one thing, like Matt, you said, the third down was just killer for Tennessee. It just and the defense did the same on struggle with Ole Miss there as well. Struggling on third down, and that just there is a lot of improvement this year, and there is positives to take. And as a Tennessee fan, maybe I'm being a little biased to that as well, but at the same time, you got to point out the things that are holding you back. And those are the type of things that if you want to win big games, you got to do. So they're definitely going to have to work on that on third down on both sides of the ball. But and the defense give big plays. Like you said, it wasn't 3rd and 2. It wasn't 3rd and 1. It was you got to get your defense off the field when it's around 3rd and 8, 3rd and 10 or more, and they give up that big play. And even the run, Bryce Young was able to run on them, and he's not really done that a lot this year. But I think I seen a thing where there's something about maybe he watched some film on with Ole Miss and Tennessee and seeing that if you have a quarterback can run, you're going to run on us. So there's definitely some things to work on. But I knew coming into this year, this year was not going to be their year, but it's the positives you got to take out of it as a fan, I think, too. So you have to realize you're improving there. So it does suck to lose Bailey, but we'll see.
Yeah. So quick question. Quick question about just kind of some thoughts on the game. Looking at the stat line for Tennessee, it's 64 rushing yards on 26 carries, averaging 2.5 yards a carry. Leading rusher, Tion Evans had 30 yards. Is that concerning for you guys as Tennessee fans? That how much is that contributing to that third down conversion ratio? If you're setting yourself up on these 3rd and longs and you don't have a QB, frankly, like Bryce Young or Matt Corral, who can just create so much space by themselves, is that rushing attack something that you're concerned about going forwards, or is that just more a testament to Bama's front seven? How do you see that?
I think UT game's fine.
Colby.
I feel like, like you said, Bama's front seven, it's tough. I mean, any SEC team going up against Bama, it's going to be a beast. It doesn't matter year in, year out. Yeah, I think we've seen earlier in the year, Evans looks good. I think he just had a tough go at it's a tough matchup, but I think throughout the rest of the year, granted, Georgia's coming up, and that's going to be more of the same. You're right. But, elsewhere, looking at, kind of Vandy and Kentucky down the road, I don't see an issue there.
Well, and I'll say this. In the last 2 weeks, Tennessee's had a rusher with before Alabama, they had a rusher with 119 and then 92 yards. So I don't think it's necessarily – I think it's just a testament to how good Alabama is up front, as they always are.
Just out of curiosity, what were the attempts, like the rushing attempts in those games? Do you have any – do you have the stats there?
Yeah. Jabari Small against Ole Miss was 21 carries for 92 yards, so he averaged just shy of 4.5 yards per carry. And then Tylen Evans against South Carolina – he averaged 7.4 yards per carry, 16 carries for 119 yards.
Okay.
And then Hooker even rushed for 66 against South Carolina as well. And I'll look at Missouri since I'm here already. Tylen Evans had 156 yards rushing. Hooker had 80. The team rushed for 458 yards against Missouri. So, again, I think it's a testament to Alabama and just how good they are up front.
And it did look like when you were watching the game, and I know you didn't see it, Derek, but it kind of felt like Tennessee was going to have to live or die by the big pass plays.
And I think that's common for underdogs. I think that's a common thing.
And I even said last week going into the game, not to pat myself on the back, but I 100% called what the game plan should be for Tennessee. I said they were going to have to air the ball out because Bama's weakness was their secondary. Mm-hmm. And on those big plays, there were just blown coverages, a guy getting beat one-on-one, a guy missing an assignment, and they did that. It just felt so imbalanced for Tennessee, and I feel like if you have a balanced attack, it looks a lot different even in the final score. I feel like with a more balanced attack, you feel better going against Kentucky. That's a game that now you're looking at it and you're like, Tennessee may have a shot in that one if they bring a really good game. Kentucky's obviously a good team, but they can still be eaten. I think kind of like Bama, they have a tendency to play down to competition this year and then play up to it on the other side. But you really want to see that rushing game get back to those numbers that Derek was reading off there in the past couple of weeks.
Yeah. And again, I think Alabama is the standard in college football, and being able to dominate up front is a huge part of that. Sorry, go ahead, Mike.
No, you're good. No, I agree. I think there's several factors in this one. I mean, obviously Bama's up front. It's a different defense that they face there. Also, like you said, Matt, might have been a little bit also more. I definitely think the rushing attack led to some of those third and longs because where it was failing in that game. Not having Cade Mays, things might have factored in there as well for them. But as far as the rest of the season, I mean, other than Georgia, I'm not. I do, which Kentucky does have a good defense, so I do hope that the rushing game, more of a balanced attack, shows up there for that. Obviously, Kentucky's not got the dynamic of offense like Alabama has and stuff, but we're definitely the underdogs in that game. But I think if we can put up points and make Kentucky have to kind of chase it a little bit, get up early, I think that's going to be the weakness for Kentucky there is trying to play catch up because that's not really their style. With their offense, but I'm not too worried about a game or so. I think we've done pretty good on the rushing attack this year, but yeah, I think there were several factors there. But does anybody have anything else that they'd like to say about that game or anything to take from it? I think you guys covered it pretty well. Kind of moving on to some things. We we had a game where a weekend where there wasn't a lot of ranked teams playing each other. But when that happens, there tends to be either some upsets or some scares. And starting with Penn State, upset against Illinois. That was a bad loss for Penn State. 9 overtimes, pretty wild. With the way overtimes are now, it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to last that long. They do that, after the new rule and everything or be that high scoring. And obviously this one wasn't. But pretty embarrassing upset for Penn State. especially when you got Ohio State coming up. Maybe some of them might be looking a little bit past that Illinois game onto the next weekend possibly, but it's not good for your motivation going into a game against Ohio State. So I think that was the big upset, obviously, with the day. I believe there were some scares for sure. There were some teams that struggled, but did you guys get to catch any of that?
I didn't get to catch any of it, and I'm trying to look at something here, but let's see. So when I first heard that Penn State lost, I wasn't necessarily shocked. When I heard that the game went to 9 overtimes and the final score was 20-18, I was blown away. I honestly thought that Penn State's quarterback was still hurt from the Iowa game. Like, I would have put money on it. I would have said, oh, their quarterback's out. And then whoever replaced him in the Iowa game, I don't even know the guy's name, but he was 7 for 21 passing in the Iowa game. Pretty much cost him that game. But so I thought that their starting quarterback was out, and that's what happened. But he played the whole game, and I don't know if he was playing through injuries or what, but Penn State looked really vulnerable. And like you said, that's not a good time of year to look vulnerable. And I do think they had to have been looking ahead at Ohio State, but you can't come out flat. And, they definitely did.
Yeah, that's not a good way to lead into the week against Ohio State, who, I feel like they're about to go on a run. I think I said it last week. They're going to find their way into the playoff. So I think Ohio State's going to come out swinging against Penn State, coming off that bad loss. That's tough. 9 OTs. Granted, like you said, it's not like the OT of old, but, that's going to be a tough week.
Yeah, it really was a weird week of college football. No top 10 matchups. But we still saw some upsets. Coastal Carolina. I don't think Pitt beating Clemson was an upset, but it kind of drove home what we've suspected for a while now, which was Clemson's season is beyond done. It needs to be thrown in an incinerator and never brought to memory again. I think DJ got benched, did he not?
I didn't get to watch that, but
I think he did, which makes the second preseason Heisman pick, along with Spencer Rattler, that has gotten benched.
Damn.
Yeah, so I just wanted to mention that game. As far as Penn State, Ohio State, yeah, Colby's right. Ohio State's gearing up for a playoff run. The thing is, we're getting to that point of this season where everything is going to be scrutinized so heavily for these playoff contenders. Early on in the season, you've kind of got some leniency to make mistakes. Now we're at the point where you can't really lose a game for a lot of these teams, but even, a close win against a bad team, and I'm thinking about Oklahoma over Kansas and Cincy over, was it Navy?
Yeah.
So you have Cincy beating a Navy team that's 1-6, and the score was 27-20. At what point do you look at Cincy in the same way you've kind of looked at UCF in whatever year it was that they claimed their title as a non-Power 5?
They're national champions, Matt.
I know. As a non-Power 5 conference champion who is trying to make a bid for the playoffs, at what point do you look at that Cincy team versus 2 or 3 one-loss teams from Power 5 conferences and put in the one-loss team over them? Because I'll tell you right now, if it's between Ohio State and Cincy, yeah, Ohio State needs to get in, 100%. If it's between Bama and Cincy, Bama needs to get in. Even Oklahoma. I just feel like there has to be some accountability for these teams that don't play in these conferences with, frankly, legitimate threats to your schedule. In the SEC, in the Big Ten, if you have an off day, you get beat or you come very close to it. Bama had an off day versus A&M. They got beat. You saw Ohio State a few years back take an off day versus Virginia Tech, and they got beat. I feel like, I don't know, I'm not feeling Cincy in the playoffs. But if they're undefeated, it's really hard to argue against it.
What happens if Wake Forest runs the table?
when I say Power 5 conferences, the
Does it
ACC
count?
doesn't belong in that conversation because there's nothing powerful about that conference.
I agree.
It's the Power 4 now.
Yeah, this year
But
for
they have
sure.
Wake and Pitt.
We'll see how that
What'd you
runs
say,
out. But
Yeah.
I just want to go on about Oklahoma. I thought Oklahoma was straight up going to lose against Kansas. Terrible program. Kansas is awful and have not won but like a few games over the last few years. Oklahoma will lose before this season's over. If they don't, their fans need to hope they do, because if they get in the playoffs, they're going to get destroyed. I want to go ahead and call that as a take right now. If they make the playoffs, it won't be a game, and whoever plays them is going to go to the championship game, because they are going to get killed by any team right now that I see that would be in the top 4. Oklahoma's not good. They're not. I mean, they're not that level.
They've
They're
got
a
at
good team,
least one.
but
They've got at least one loss coming up because they play Baylor here in like 2 weeks. I think they're ranked 15 right now. And then they've got
16.
Oklahoma State, of course, during rivalry week there. No, Oklahoma State's ranked 15. I think Baylor's 16 or 17. They're right behind them.
Yes.
So I've got to think one of those will surely handle business.
yeah,
One can only
yeah,
hope.
it's somebody's going to upset them, I think. And like I said, if they do make the playoff, they're going to lose. So that's what I'm calling on that right now. Calling it. Yeah, it's not. Other than that, really not a lot to really take about this weekend, I guess, with college football.
I got
Moving
one
on
thing.
Go right
App
ahead.
State, baby. App State.
Over Coastal
Again.
Carolina. Let's go.
Let's go. Just over
While we're
now.
talking about football, App State and ETSU back in the win column.
Mhm.
So 7-1.
Conference win. SoCon.
Conference win. So that was big after that loss they had previously. So yeah, sorry. Don't know how I forgot that. Been mentioning that every week when how they do. So thanks, Derek, for the reminder. With App State, it just kind of reminded me. So yeah, kind of moving on to the NFL. For me and Colby, an exciting weekend. Titans absolutely took care of business against Kansas City, and it wasn't even close. The defense surprised me. The offense, I knew Kansas City don't have a tough defense. I knew the offense was going to put up points, but the defense absolutely shut them down with just too many turnovers. It's very uncharacteristic of Kansas City team, and they just looked demoralized towards the end. I mean, you could tell they were beat. Like once at halftime, they just didn't have any fight left after that. So, but yeah, the defense. That's what I mean. Obviously, and Derrick Henry threw a touchdown pass. So, guess he's working on that quarterback MVP award. But yeah, it was a great win. I was really pumped about that. And AJ Brown just going off. It's nice to see that again. It's like after that second half of against the Bills, he's just continued that into this game. And it was just overall great performance. But the defense is what really shocked me. Very happy and proud of that defense to show up and take care of Kansas City like they did. Or Kansas City showed up at Tennessee, but you know what I mean. Yeah, big win. It's 2 big wins in a row for them.
Oh, yeah. If you had told me coming in this game that Henry would be held under 100 yards, Mahomes would have probably the worst game of his career, and Titans come out on top, I mean, what are the chances of that? Defense really showing out. That pass rush actually getting to him, forcing turnovers. Compared to last year, we had, historically horrendous pass rush. I mean, just awful. So, seeing us this year go against, arguably one of the best teams in the league and just, forcing no touchdowns, I mean, that's pretty incredible. And I'm really proud of this team. Beat Buffalo and Kansas City, 2 weeks in a row. Never thought it would happen. So, tighten up.
Yeah,
I'd trade a loss to the Jets for those wins.
True.
Seemed like
I'll
a
give you
really
that.
solid win for the Titans. looking at Kansas City, they're now 3-4, which, of course, every one of us saw coming into the season. You know, we all knew that would happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So everyone's sure bet to go back to the Super Bowl is now 3-4. But if you look at those losses, the Bills, Titans, Ravens, who am I forgetting? There's one more in there.
Oakland beat them?
Uh-uh. There's another team. I'm pretty sure it's a decent team.
They lost to the Steelers, didn't they?
No.
Wait. They lost who have you said? They lost to the Chargers.
Chargers. Okay, so
Yeah,
Chargers, Ravens, Titans, and Bills have now all beaten the Chiefs. While those losses hurt a lot, those are good teams they're losing to. Now, albeit the Titans blew them out this week. I mean, 3 points from this Kansas City offense against the Titans defense that, you know, has been kind of like Swiss cheese for a lot of the year.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's a great win for the Titans, building off a big win the week before. They're getting on a roll here. Henry is just finding ways to score. It's what he does. He says, you're going to shut me down running the ball. I'll just throw the ball instead. I don't care.
Yeah.
So you love to see it.
Oh, yeah.
I do think that Kansas City could still be a dangerous team if they can
Absolutely.
get stuff on track. But like
I'm
you
not
said,
worried
off
about
of those losses they have taken. But it's not looking great for them at this point, especially with their conference. But they're going to have that moment of flipping it and getting on a roll. But, yeah, not calling them completely out, but they're in some trouble. But Derek, did you have anything on the Titans game? If not, we'll kind of get going.
No, I mean, again, I didn't get to watch anything. It's exciting. I mean, if you told me coming into the season that they'd have this good of a win against Kansas City and Mahomes was playing and the team was majority of the way healthy and they had just beaten Buffalo, and it's something else that makes it even more impressive is they were coming off a short week. They played on Monday night. They beat a really good Buffalo team. Have a day less of rest than Kansas City, and then they beat Kansas City. You gotta be feeling good, and and Derrick Henry didn't even run for 100 yards. And, I think the defense is getting better, and that's evident. And, that's a good thing, and you need that. So you can't always just rely on Derrick Henry to go out there and run for 200 yards every single week. I did see something interesting, though. I actually screenshotted just for the purpose of this podcast. So this is a stat from the game this weekend. So Tennessee called 7 play-action passes off of Derrick Henry in the first half. Off of those play-action passes, Ryan Tannehill was 6 for 6 for 119 yards and ran for a touchdown. That is the effectiveness of Derrick Henry, my friends. And that is it's incredible. And, that just shows you, even when he doesn't have 100 yards rushing, how big of an impact he has on this offense and the way that defenses have to think and prepare. And, the split-second decisions, it's like, what are you going to do? You're going to let Derrick Henry just kill you all day? So – and they took their shot on Tannehill, and he took care of business. So,
and that's the exciting thing I think about this Titans offense is if you completely sell out on Derrick Henry, which is hard not to do when you're a defense, the Titans also have the weapons to hurt you in the pass game and make you pay for that. So, it was definitely great. And kind of moving on here, and Derek, I hate to kind of bring you down with this one.
Can we pass? Can we just pass?
The dough you want to more than anyone right now. The Panthers,
No,
they
you
went down.
can't pass because Darnold's your quarterback.
I'll be back. I will come back at some point.
This is Derek for this one. Unfortunately for the Panthers, man, this is definitely a bad loss. Worst loss on the season so far. And after starting 3-0, it just, and Darnold's playing, unfortunately, like he was at the Jets now. He started off good in the season, and I think he's playing kind of back to that level. And without Christian McCaffrey, the Panthers just don't have a chance, I don't think, in a lot of games. Their defense is great, so I don't see them getting. I mean, it's the thing is though, your defense can only hold so much. So you got a lot of good players on defense. You've proved you have a good defense, but when your offense is just not moving the ball and just turning the ball over, and your defense on the field, it's going to eventually look bad on you. So I think they have the defense to be in a lot of games, but they're going to have to figure it out on offense. And I think after this season, it's time to find your quarterback.
Well, and I'll say this. Sorry, go ahead.
No, you go. That's all I really had on it.
Yeah, I mean, and I'll say this Darnold has not looked good. I do not take this statement as Sam Darnold's the quarterback of the future for us. We have a terrible offensive line, and that was so evident because we couldn't run the ball either. Hubbard had 12 carries for 28 yards. I don't even know how many times Darnold got sacked. I mean, that issue has continued to get worse. We put a couple of offensive linemen on the injured reserve, and it's continued to get worse. But as a fan, I have to be somewhat optimistic. But yeah, Darnold got sacked 6 times and was hit 10 Sunday. So again, not saying Darnold's some great thing, but clearly we've got issues on the offensive line. And it's not like
and they didn't have a good game. Yeah.
Yeah, I saw you got
yeah.
But and then to tell you how it's not just a Darnold thing, we put in our backup quarterback and he went 3 for 14 passing. So
if you put in the backup quarterback for any given team, they're going to go 3 of 14 passing. That's why they're the backup.
That's not necessarily true.
3 of 14.
3 of 14 is pretty bad.
Okay.
Regardless,
you've got DJ Moore at receiver. You've got Robbie Anderson. How bad can it be?
Dude, Robbie Anderson's not been good this year.
I
dropped him on my fantasy team. He's not on my fantasy football team anymore.
Yeah, he's not done anything.
I've got DJ Moore, and that was a mistake because I assumed he had someone to get the ball to him.
Fair. But I don't know, and I think the defense is going to we're getting a boost on the defense. We're getting 3 players back on defense. We're going to have Justin Burris back from the IR, Shaq Thompson back from the IR, and Stephon Gilmore is joining the defense, I think, this week. So I'm not counting the season out, but that was ugly. You lose to a 1-5 team, 25-3. That's ugly. So they're on notice for me right now. I'm about to just become a Titans fan. Just kidding. No.
Well, on the one hand, the Saints lost to the Giants, so I can only say so much. And they also lost to the Panthers, so there's that. So on the other hand, they are ahead.
Congratulations on beating Geno Smith by a field goal. You're so talented.
We'll get to that later, sweetie. Just wait for your segment. Anyway, so I was reading Bo Nix's stat line here: 16 of 25, 112 yards, 1 INT. Oh, that's Sam Darnold. Oh man. That can't be the same quarterback that Derek was so hyped to see coming into the season. Oh, man. Sheesh. That is not pain. We may have Jameis Winston, but at least, he takes care of the ball most of the time. This season, anyway.
Yeah.
Hey, Matt, can you see this?
Is it the NFC South standings? Because if not, I don't really want to.
Oh, okay.
But anyway, so... To my main point of this, this year in the NFL, teams with consistent quarterback play seem to be doing really, really well. And I know that's kind of an easy statement to make, but I think about the best teams right now: Buccaneers, Cardinals, Rams, Brady, Kyler Murray, Matt Stafford. They're all not just playing at a high level, because we've seen other quarterbacks go to their highs, but they're staying that way. They're consistently playing well. Patrick Mahomes, we all know he is a great quarterback. One of the most talented in the league. May just be the most purely talented quarterback in the league. But he's just not consistent this year. So that's something teams have got to find. They've got to find a way to make these offenses work for the QBs.
You act like quarterback's an important position on the football field. Jeez.
Well, I thought.
Why are you not on ESPN?
I thought it was until the Panthers traded for Sam Darnold, and then I thought, well, it must not be that important to them.
It hurts. It hurts, guys.
Hey, Can you admit that Teddy could have done that? Let him.
That's exactly what I said coming into the season.
Where we're at right now, 3
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. But I do think at this point in his career, and it's not that I don't like Teddy, I do like Teddy. I still think that there are things that we can do and fix to make things work with Sam. But it's like I said, it's hard to have your quarterback sit there and get hit consistently and expect him to produce. And then when you don't have your running back, who is arguably the most important player on our whole entire team. And then, he's really DJ Moore's the only guy that's really getting open. Terrace Marshall's hurt.
Back to what I was saying, though, that's part of what I'm saying. There's a difference between making it work with a QB and having a QB that's going to actually make you a contender. And I just don't see Sam Darnold as that guy. I don't see Jameis Winston as that guy.
Yeah, I mean, I think he can game manage. That's all I expected from him. I thought he could game manage well enough with the things that we had and the defense that we have. And that was all I was expecting from him. I wasn't.
Maybe it's just McCaffrey being gone. Maybe he is missing that piece to just take some weight off him. What's his timetable to return? Do we know?
He sat out for like 2 or 3 weeks, and then they decided to put him on the IR. It actually concerns me. So
okay, we'll see.
That concerns me for McCaffrey in general because I like McCaffrey. I do. So I hate to see him getting injured so much. I hate to see any player getting injured that much, but kind of, you only have so many years to be great as a running back in the league. So
especially when you see a player of that caliber getting injured.
Yeah,
it's like we're being robbed of the privilege of watching him play.
Yeah, he's eligible to return Week 9 against New England. We'll see if that happens.
Not to kind of rush this, but I kind of, we're still in the recaps there, so we'll kind of go on there to the Saints and the Seahawks. Alvin Kamara and the Saints defense beat the Seahawks Monday night. Alvin Kamara did have a good game as far as the receiving game. He did look good, and I mean he still had like 50 yards rushing or something as well. So he had a good game. Saints defense, other than letting that one big play, I mean, other than that, it is Geno Smith. So. Could have been a different game maybe if Wilson was playing, but I think probably would have. But I don't know. Saints, I will say the Saints win sometimes. Like they're 4-2.
Yep.
And they're just an unpredictable team. I mean that's my opinion on the Saints this year. It's unpredictable. I don't know how to. Matt, you probably know. I mean, you know more about the team because that's your team, and you like going down. But it's so unpredictable.
You're kind of like hinting right around what the fact of the matter is with the Saints right now. Right now, the Saints are in can we get by mode. Can we just scrape out these wins? Yeah. I thought they might win big versus Seattle. Obviously, that didn't happen. But it doesn't really matter. All they're trying to do is get wins. It feels like the big thing that's going to show us can the Saints make it to the playoffs and maybe win a game or two is going to be when Michael Thomas returns, which – I think somebody reported on the 18th that he was probably still 2 to 3 weeks out, maybe.
Yeah.
But it feels like once we have that whole offense together, we're going to kind of get a complete picture of where they stand. They're not making a Super Bowl run. We already know that. But I think we'll get a better idea of, is Jameis going to be here for this year or is he going to be here for a few years? So we'll see. But like I said, they're scraping out wins. It's what they need.
Yeah.
I'm not put it this way. Oh, sorry, Colby. I was just going to say one thing. I'm not betting on any of their games. So just put it that way right now. Because you look at 4-2, and it's like great, but I don't know. I don't know how to guess it. So go ahead, Colby. I'm sorry.
No, I was going to keep it quick. I said it a couple weeks ago on here. Just give Kamara the ball. I mean, that's it. You want to scrape out wins, just give him the ball. That's it.
Yeah, it's very similar. And, obviously I hope Alvin Kamara stays healthy, but it's very similar to McCaffrey. It's like the offenses are built very similar. It's like you have a superstar running back, feed them in whichever creative way you can get them the ball because they make plays happen. I only have one thing to say about Monday Night Football. I only have one thing to say about this game. And here's a direct quote from Matt Salisbury himself. We were talking about the game, and he says, Not gonna lie, I think they win by at least 3 scores. Did you mean 3 points there?
3 points. That's what I meant.
Okay.
So I was right on the money with that take. Yet another wonderful take by Matt Salisbury. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up.
We need to do a tracker with some of these things that you're saying.
Minor.
Stable quarterback.
I don't like how I'm being singled out for the bad takes when we were just talking about you lauding Darnold at the start of the season, even though Colby and I were kind of like, it's kind of just Bridgewater 2.0.
No, I said he can game manage. He was young enough. We didn't give up a lot for him.
Game manage.
I'm not giving up.
Matt,
on him. I'm not.
Takes aren't takes. Just taking chances.
Wait. What'd you say?
I said risky takes aren't bad takes. You're just taking chances.
That's it, man. That's it. Colin Coward gets away with it. Why don't I?
Exactly. Oh, that's good stuff. But anyways,
To be fair, I thought the Saints would win by at least cover the spread. So
you would have thought. To be fair, they were playing in a monsoon. I don't know if you guys saw it, but it was Seattle, and it was it was like a hurricane. So yeah.
It rains 363 days out of the year there, or something like that.
Yeah, pretty much.
And a half.
Yeah. Anybody else have anything else on the recap? That kind of for this weekend. We're ready to move on.
Yeah.
We're ready to go into the next weekend, Halloween weekend coming up. Might as well get right into it. We got some big games in college football coming up, so I think it's time to make some predictions. Let's just start out. Number 6 Michigan versus number 8 Michigan State. It's a rivalry game. Both top 10 ranked teams. I'm going out on a limb here. I'm gonna. I don't know about score wise. I'm just gonna predict who I think is gonna win. But I'm gonna take Michigan State in that game with an ups. I don't want to say it's upset. They're pretty close in ranking.
Yeah,
I guess it could be.
Yeah. I'm
gonna take.
I guess. Sorry, go ahead.
No, you're good. I was just going to say I was just going to take Michigan State there. So I don't even know why. I don't know enough about either one of them really, but
that's
one of my takes.
Yeah, rivalry games. Anything can happen at any point in time. And that's the beauty in them. The game came down to a blocked punt a few years ago, and it became an instant classic. For me, I think Michigan's going to win, and the only reason I say that is, I think Harbaugh's been there longer. I think stuff's more established. I think they'll win this game, but I think that it wouldn't shock me to see it. Well, I wouldn't be shocked at all to see Michigan State win it, and I wouldn't be shocked to see them start winning that game in the future too. I think they've got a really good coach there, and it's a guy that Tennessee probably should have looked at instead of Jeremy Pruitt. So there's that.
No, I'm with D. Love Mel Tucker. Like what he's doing, but I feel like Michigan looks solid this year. They do. They're inevitably going to fall to Ohio State, but I could see them, being a one-loss team, for the regular season. So I see Michigan winning it by 14.
I'm going to agree with Michael and go Michigan State on this one. And it is, it's a close matchup. It's really hard to pick it. But the deciding factor for me is this, and I'll let you guys in on a little secret here that I've known for a while.
Quarterback is important in football.
Jim Harbaugh is not a good coach. Jim Harbaugh is not only not a good coach, I would say he's the most overrated coach in all of college football. Name me another one.
Do you need to borrow this?
Name me another one.
Yeah, I'll get back to you next week.
All right. But Michigan may win it. They're the higher ranked team. I like Michigan State's quarterback. He's got like 1,700 yards on the season. He's having a pretty solid season. I think he's gonna have a good game, but I just can't bet on Jim Harbaugh to win a game that he's supposed to win, a game that he is favored to win. I just really don't trust him to win that. So, yeah, Michigan State all the way.
All right, another. So we're at 2-2 on that one. So we'll see.
Yeah.
Make sure you watch this. Everybody out there that watches it, comment who you think is going to win. Who's going to be right, and why
Team
me and
Michigan
Matt are going to be
State,
right.
let's go. That just feels awful to say. I don't like that.
Yeah, that's rough. But getting into at least the SEC on this next one, big matchup with Ole Miss and Auburn. I know Matt's an Auburn fan, so he's probably going to pick them. But Ole Miss and Auburn. I think this could. I think this is actually going to be a close game. But I'm going to take Ole Miss. I just think the offense is going to be a little much for Auburn. I mean, Auburn's been playing some pretty decent football lately, though. But I think close game, Ole Miss. I don't like to pick Lane Kiffin. Just put that out there, but I'm going Ole Miss.
Matt, do you want it next? These are two terms.
No, we'll keep the order we're going in. I'll just take last take on everyone
okay.
so I can have final word.
So looking at the spread here, Auburn's actually favored by 3, which kind of shocks me. I know it's at Auburn, but you'd think that the number 10 team in the country, whose only loss was to Alabama, the number 4 team in the country, maybe 3, I don't know where they're at, depending on the poll probably. But I think Ole Miss probably wins by 2 touchdowns. I mean, I feel pretty confident in saying that. Looking at the spread and seeing Auburn being favored by 3 honestly shocks me. I mean, they're 2 weeks from playing Georgia, and they lost to Georgia by 24. Auburn is so, and they beat Arkansas, who I feel like has been incredibly overrated. You look at that week before they beat LSU by 5, they beat Georgia State by 10. They just don't impress me. And Ole Miss, they beat LSU by 2 touchdowns. They beat Arkansas themselves. Their only loss is to Alabama. Granted, it wasn't pretty, but all I'm going to say is I think Ole Miss is significantly better and incredible, especially at quarterback. I know Matt loves Bo Nix, but I will say I think Ole Miss wins this game, and I think they win it pretty handedly too.
Yeah, I'm with you, boys. I got Ole Miss by 10. I think Matt Corral's going to try to keep the Heisman race kind of interesting, putting up good numbers still. And I can see them scoring on Auburn's defense. And I believe Bo Nix is just going to end up being Bo Nix, which is kind of like Sam Darnold. So I'll let you take it, man.
Well, I really don't want to do this, but you already know what I'm going to do. I'm taking Auburn to win this one.
Oh,
like reverse psychology?
I'm taking Auburn to win this one. So, a little something for the viewers here. A little something for the viewers here. I've been gathering some data on this character we call Bo Nix for a little content I'm hoping to get out there soon. Maybe a little 5-minute video on to kind of back up my take that I had a few weeks ago. But if how much you look at, I'm sorry.
On how much you like Bo Nix.
Exactly. I got a letter from Bo Nix's mother telling me I had no right to attack her son like that. So now I have to come back with evidence about it. I'm just kidding. Mrs. Nix is a very lovely woman. Anyway, what I have found when looking into Bo Nix, these home games, he does so much better than the away games, generally speaking. The exception being like the Georgia State game. But Bo Nix is a completely different quarterback when he's on the road versus when he's home. It is a home game. Ole Miss's defense, I don't know if you guys know this, but it's really, really bad. Their defensive line, they have one decent defensive lineman. Everybody else, I think, was taken straight from Dobbins-Bennett High School and then put on that Ole Miss defensive line. So I think Auburn is going to win by 7 to 10-ish. But, I mean, I can definitely see it going the other way. Corral is a crazy athlete. Colby said, going to make another run at the Heisman here, and he just might. That was my pick coming into the season. He's such a special dude. I think he'll do well in the NFL too. But so if he plays like we know he can play, yeah, they might just beat Auburn by 2 or 3 scores. But I don't know. I'm feeling Auburn for this one.
Okay. It's good. We got a little variety still there. Before we get into this next one, I do want to make one take on this game, and I think this is a very good chance of happening. I'm going to call it now. Lane Kiffin goes for it on 4th down at some point in the game. So there's my take. Getting into the next game, I think I don't want to pick for everybody, but I think we know what we're going to say. But Penn State, Ohio State. I put that in there because it's still it's Penn State's 20th, Ohio State's 5th. It should have been a lot bigger of a matchup, but after this past weekend, Ohio State is going to kick their ass. Can I say that? Because that's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Ohio State is going to absolutely. I think they are, and I hate to say that because I'm one of the biggest Ohio State haters you're going to find, but it's just they're turning it around at this point of the season, and that's what they do. And Penn State's just going to be down from that. They may shock us all, but Ohio State 100%.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. Colby said it earlier. He said you just kind of have that feeling that Ohio State had that slip up early in the season, which really wasn't even much of a slip up this time. I mean, it was Oregon. I mean, they're a really good team, and then they just go on a run. I mean, and they've done that before. And I don't know why you're tilting your head, Matt, but Oregon, I don't know where Oregon's ranked right
Really
now.
good team.
They're ranked number 7.
So Cincinnati's ranked like number 3 or 4. No, they're ranked 2, aren't they? Yeah, Cincinnati's ranked number 2.
What does that have to do with the price of tea in China?
Rankings don't matter at this point.
Whatever. Oregon's they did not have a bad loss by any stretch of the imagination, like they have had before in previous seasons, and then went on runs. The thing is, it feels like they're about to go on a run, and they're just going to dominate the Big Ten and get back into the playoff as if that Oregon game never even happened.
Yeah, I've got Ohio State by 24. I think Stroud just throws all over them. I don't think it's going to be much of a game. I think he's kind of starting to get comfortable in the offense, and I see him putting up some gaudy numbers this week.
Yeah, Ohio State's like 18.5-point favorite, I think. They're going to win. No further questions at this time.
No. Another game in college football, I think be interesting. Interesting, I say, but I don't think it's gonna be much of a game. But does Florida have a chance of beating Georgia? I'll start. No, not a shot. I might be surprised, but Florida is going to get dominated. I mean, as a Tennessee fan, it's going to happen to us as well. But I'm just saying, no. Florida doesn't come close. They can't score against them. Georgia wins another week. Somebody got a different take on that?
No. I mean, there's a part of me that wants to sit here and say, oh, it's a rivalry game. They'll keep it closer than everybody thinks. I don't think that's going to happen. You know, both teams had bye weeks coming into this game. Both teams had ample time to prepare. Kirby's going to have his guys ready. They're going to go out there and beat. And the spread's 14 points. I'd say they'll win it by that or more.
Yeah, I want to keep it short and sweet. I don't see a hell of that happening. So yeah, Georgia by 28 at least.
I don't think Florida will win this game, but I do think we're just kind of discounting this game as it's going to be a blowout. I mean, Georgia's definitely the better team. I would really like to see Florida start Anthony Richardson for this game. I would love that. If Dan Mullen would swallow his pride and just start Anthony Richardson, who is the better player. He is.
I agree.
So start him. And I think it would catch Georgia off guard. Let's be honest. You need points any way you can get them versus that defense. That said, we've hinted about this. Georgia's offense, it's it's lacking a little. So can Florida do enough on defense to keep them in the game and maybe I get a special teams play or a turnover that just sets them up in good field position? I don't want to discredit plays like that happening because they do happen in the SEC. That said, Georgia wins this game. I'd say 10-14. Like that's not the final score. That's how much they win by, is what I'm saying.
That's
I mean, it could be.
that's sure.
Georgia doesn't score a lot of points typically. So.
They don't.
That's one thing I will say that I don't think it's going to be such a blowout on the scoreboard is just because Georgia doesn't score a lot of points. Florida's not going – I don't think there's going to score a lot of points though. But, yeah, I mean, you never know. It is SEC football, so – and football, I mean, it's any given day. So you still got to go out and play the game. That's why you do so. But kind of getting in – we'll get in real quick to the NFL upcoming this weekend. We'll kind of keep this a little shorter here. All three of our teams are playing. So Titans got a big game, divisional game against the Colts. I want everything in me with the way they've been playing wants to say Titans win this game. A little nervous, though, when it comes to the Colts sometimes because that is the one team that in our division that just shows up out of nowhere. So they had a nice comeback win against San Francisco there as well. I know they were down a little early, but I think it might be closer than the last game with them, but I do still think Titans pull this out. I think Derrick Henry just does what he does to the AFC South. That just not Colts, Texans, or the Jags. They just really can't. They never really put up much of a fight against him. So he'll have his game, but it's the defense. I hope the defense shows up and does to Carson Wentz what they did to Mahomes. And if they do that, then Titans easily win that game.
Yeah, I'm sorry, what'd you say?
Always makes me nervous when it's my team, and I'm like, oh, they should win this game. But,
Yeah. That's
Go ahead, Derek.
Yeah. Shockingly, the Colts are actually favored by a point if you look at the Vegas line on there.
Really?
Yeah, they're actually favored. And if the Titans weren't coming off the wins that they were coming off of, I would definitely kind of get that just because divisional game, their Titans history with the Colts. I mean, the Colts did have a good win against the 49ers, but other than that, I mean, their last two games, they beat the Texans, woohoo, and then they lost to the Ravens, and then they beat the Dolphins again, woohoo. So it's like, it shocks me that Indianapolis is favored, but I think Tennessee wins this game.
Yeah, it might not be the game. I think it's going to be kind of ugly, but, ugly game might be what we need. Game plan like every other week, just give Henry the ball, let good things happen. So I got Titans by 3.
Yeah, I see this game as Derrick Henry versus Jonathan Taylor. I'm not going to take Taylor over Henry any day of the week. I think Derrick Henry has like 300 more yards than the second place back in the league, which is Jonathan Taylor, I'm pretty sure.
That makes sense.
Yeah, just like Colby said, give the ball to Henry. Let him do his thing.
Yeah. Let's hope that's how it goes. Going into the next game, Panthers versus Falcons. I think all of our teams have divisional games, so coming up. Mm-hmm. So Panthers versus Falcons. I want to pick the Panthers, and I really do. But the Falcons have been winning some games lately. I think they are a little favored coming into it. This is a very tough pick for me. I could honestly see – I think it's going to be a close game. I could see it going either way. Based off of – and with the players back for the Panthers, it makes me want to think that, their defense is going to be ready to go. But I got to give a little bit of the edge to Matt Ryan on this one, and I think I'm going to, in a very close game, 3-point game, I'm picking Atlanta to win that one. Not necessarily the team I hope wins it. I'm actually pulling for the Panthers. So But if I just really had to pick based off of, it really just comes down to Matt Ryan over Sam Darnold. And the offensive line just right now has got me worried for the Panthers. But I do think a close game.
I don't know why you think Matt Ryan's better than Sam Darnold. I mean, on one hand, you have this incredibly strong-armed, talented quarterback, and then on the other hand, you have Matt Ryan. Yeah, I'm just kidding. Yeah, I mean, I'm going to be optimistic, and I'm going to think I think the Panthers can win this game. But I know our history against Atlanta is just not good. Even when we're good, we don't beat Atlanta in Atlanta. The year we went 15-1, our one loss was to Atlanta in Atlanta. I think the pieces of our defense coming back is huge for what's going to happen for the rest of the season. I do think it will take some time to get those guys kind of reacclimated back up to speed. And, we're still without another week without Christian McCaffrey. So, I think Atlanta's going to win, but I wouldn't be shocked if we did. But Atlanta beat the Giants, and we lost to the Giants by 20-22. So, I'm just going to give the edge to Atlanta, and that literally pains me unlike anything else in this world.
Yeah, I've got Atlanta by 6. Panthers just aren't giving me a whole lot to kind of look forward to. It looks like Kyle Pitts is coming into his own. Last 2 games, he's balled out. And UT Cordero is kind of starting to look like the lead back there. I know that they have been using him a lot in past weeks, but Mike Davis was still leading in carries. Davis didn't do anything last week, and we keep seeing more and more of Cordero. I think that's good. I think their offense is going to come together. That defense is still shoddy, but if you're going against Carolina without McCaffrey, you can probably get by with shoddy. So I got Atlanta by 6.
And yet again, I'm left having to take the team that no one else picked. So I'll take Carolina. I feel they're due a bounce back win. This is still the same team, albeit an injured team, but it's still fundamentally the same team that has had a defense that's won them games. Yes, they're missing some key pieces. I don't know when they're supposed to get Shaq Thompson back, but I think it's soon. Maybe this week.
Supposed to be this week. We're supposed to get him first and Gilmore this week.
Okay, yeah. Both those big pieces. I think they just need to try to control a couple of the weapons that Atlanta has. Ridley and Kyle Pitts are the 2 ones that come to mind. But I think the defense keeps them in this game, and I'll say Panthers by 7.
All right, so on to the next one. Matt, your Saints got the Bucks.
I get to start out this time, okay?
You start it. That's fair.
Right.
Your turn.
All right, so I'm going to take the Bucks in this one. So somebody else will have to take the Saints. I really do want to take the Saints, and I think it is a home game for them, which historically the Saints have been a completely different team when playing in New Orleans. And they haven't really gotten to this year because of the hurricane and such. I just don't see Jameis at the point yet where he can carry this offense against that defense. Devin White's a scary player. I think he's going to have a big game. There's a chance the Saints win. Their defense is going to have to play lights out. Jameis is going to have to sling the ball around some. If they had Michael Thomas, I'd be tempted to pick him. But with him as most likely out for this game, the Bucs are just too good a team right now.
Yeah. I got Tampa by 10. It looks like they're, hitting that groove. I mean, they're going to be back to where they were last season. If they can get past the Rams, I think that's their only maybe speed bump. Who knows? But,
Get the Cardinals.
Yeah, and the Cardinals. You're right. I don't know how for real they are. They look for real, but we'll see. Saints, they're scrapping out victories, and that's good. But you go up against this Bucs team, it's gonna be tough. I've got Bucs by 10.
Yeah, and I'm gonna kind of echo what Colby said, and it's not even like a knock on the Saints. It's just Tampa's that team. It's kind of shocking to me that Matt just picks Tampa. It's like you've got on one hand you've got the great legendary quarterback who
with a Heisman.
with a Heisman number one draft pick versus this guy who was drafted in the 6th round, didn't even start in college, and he took. It's just crazy to me. But yeah, I mean Tampa. This is interesting, and this is why I bring this up. So Tom Brady's thrown for 2,275 yards. Jameis has thrown for 1,114. So double. He's literally doubled his passing yards. And that's not even a knock on Jameis. Tom Brady is just doing things at this point in his career that are things that a lot of guys never get to. He's literally playing like he's 25. And it's so impressive for him to throw for almost 2,300 yards, 21 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. I mean, that's incredibly, incredibly impressive. And so Tampa's going to win this game by 2 touchdowns.
I will say, since Michael's about to pick the Saints, his reason should be the the team that's played a Monday night football game and won has won the following week, I think 11 times in a row. So there you go, Michael. Take it away.
Wow.
So yeah, I'm gonna pick the Saints to lose. I'm gonna have to go with the Bucks. As Derek said, dude, Tom Brady's playing at a stupid level for 44. So I mean, for any age, honestly, he's playing at just a stupid level in general. But the fact he's 44 is insane. And right now, the way the Bucks are on fire, yeah, I got the Bucks. So, and it's not like you said, there. It's not a knock on the Saints. It's just if the Bucks are playing the Titans right now, I would probably still have to go with the Bucks. Honestly.
Yeah, they're just a few
the
teams that are just in a league of their own right now, and the Tampa's one of them.
Yeah, it is NFL though, so who knows on any given weekend. So, but yeah, that kind of so a couple big things here at the end to kind of wrap things up. One, it is Halloween this weekend, so kind of want to do this little thing. It's like a Halloween scare game. So it could be NFL, it could be college, but who should be the most scared in your opinion of potentially being upset this weekend? Which team? And we may have to look there. If I don't know if you guys have got somebody in your mind already. If anybody's ready to start, I'm going to need just a second because I'm really trying to think on it.
I will go with something. And I didn't actually even write this down. This is just me kind of looking at this. And it's not really a scare game in terms of like a massive upset. It's just it's just like a gut punch. I'm going to say that the Lions beat the Eagles. They have been so close in so many games, and they're at home. This just feels like their best opportunity to win a game so far this season. But I mean, they took the Rams down to into the fourth quarter last week. They've lost 2 games by last-second field goals. And I mean, I don't know. I just feel like they're finally due. This is kind of their opportunity to finally get that win. And you hate it for Philly because they're the team that's going to lose to the team that's never won. So that's mine.
Good pick. I like
good pick.
Good pick.
I'm gonna have to go with Mississippi State over Kentucky. I have no rhyme or reason other than I absolutely love Mike Leach. Just take the momentum from the big Vandy win. Really fought. So, Trump in Kentucky.
I hope you're right.
Michael, what you got?
Matt. Okay. So it's kind of down to the 2, but I think so. They still got Iowa as at number 9, right?
Mm-hmm.
Wisconsin. I think Wisconsin could beat Iowa, and I think that's a potential upset. Matt, I'll let you go before I got one more I'll mention, but that's probably the one I'm going to go with in the Halloween. Iowa.
So, I don't know. I have two I want to talk about because I'm really wanting to say if Georgia's not careful, they could end up in a very close game. But I also know that Georgia and on the flip side, Florida is fully capable of just dominating this game. Florida could be blown out in this game. They really could. So I'm not going to mention that. I'm going to mention that one, but I'm not going to pick that one. The one I'm picking is going to be Notre Dame losing to North Carolina.
Yeah.
Notre Dame's just they've been kind of flirting with some of these losses this year. UNC was supposed to have a lot of hype coming into the season, took some early losses, but I still think they can take a couple of big wins this season. So, yeah, I'll pick them over Notre Dame.
I was literally about to mention that.
An honorable mention there for me then. Not the one I was going to pick, but it was close. But I think Texas and Baylor. Baylor's ranked 16th right now. Potential upset with Texas. You know, that those two – it gets wild in that conference anyway and stuff. And so it's, I don't know. I think with those teams out there, just Texas has a chance of upsetting Baylor. But that's the scares for us. And then final question, which game are we most looking forward to? I almost want to break this one up to for me, NFL is obviously the Titans and Colts because it's a divisional game, and that's something I'm just looking forward to as a personal, as a Titans fan. But I love big matchups in college football. And I'm an SEC guy, but I am a top 10 matchup. I'm curious to see that Michigan State game, who pulls that out, especially at this point of the year. Stuff kind of starts affecting things in those top 10 teams. So, and also those are Michigan, those teams right there with Ohio State too. Later in the year, kind of see how things play out. But so I think that's my college game. I'm going to say Michigan and Michigan State rivalry game, top 10. As a college fan, it's kind of hard not to be excited about big games like that. So,
yeah, I tried to pick something off the wall because obviously there's a lot of really great games, and so I wanted to do something a little bit different. And so the game that I'm looking forward to is late at night Saturday, San Diego State and Fresno State. You look at the football power index, it's a 53% chance that San Diego State wins. Should be a close game. The spread's only 1 point. It's one of those games that after you've been watching all day, I mean, seriously, how many of those games do you just
only you would pick that game?
Only me can prevent wildfires. But I think that's going to be just an interesting game. I really have not much of a rooting interest. You know, I grew up liking Carr there at Fresno. I like San Diego State. It's cool. It's going to be a cool game. And I was trying to do something off the wall because
you did it.
Yeah. Yeah.
To defend them, you do get those games out of nowhere sometimes that you're just like, at the end of the day, like you said, and you're like, wow, this turned out to be like a Friday night game that you're watching just because you want to watch football.
Exactly. It's like after we watch Ohio State beat the pants off of Penn State, it's like, okay, well, what are we going to do now? You flip over, and then there's this great game that's going to be on. So just saying, throwing something different out there because I don't want to look forward to the Panthers-Falcons. We always lose. So.
Yeah. So Derek will be asleep by the time that game comes on.
Yeah, I'm running a half marathon that morning, so probably.
You will be off. But I'm going to go with Cowboys-Vikings. Yeah, it's one of those things. Cowboys coming off bye. They're looking good right now. Who knows? I miss the Cowboys. But they look good right now. Their offense looks real steady. And the Vikings, they're better than the record shows, I feel like. Two of those losses have been to Cincinnati and Arizona, which, Arizona needed. And I don't know if you guys knew this, but if the season ended today, Cincinnati's the number 1 seed in the AFC. That's crazy. I was shocked when I found that out. But I think Vikings are a solid team that are going to scrape their way back in the playoff hunt and maybe make some noise.
Yeah. And Matt, since you were critiquing me going off the wall, my original game of the week was the game Colby just talked about. So I pivoted really quick and found something else. So
Okay.
there's that.
Well, I don't see how in a week where you have Michigan State and Michigan and Ole Miss and Auburn, Georgia, Florida, I don't know how you pick Fresno State and San Diego State.
Have you seen one of these? Have you seen one of these?
Anyway,
it's my care cup and it's empty, sir. I don't care about Big Ten football.
I'm gonna pick an NFL game as well. I thought I was gonna have to pick another one because I thought one of you would definitely pick it for your game, but I'm going with Packers Cards because I think Cards take their first L of the season. So I'm not betting money on it, but I think.
Did you know that? And this is just full disclosure. Did you know that like their top 3 wideouts are out with COVID?
Who, the Cardinals?
No, the Packers.
Oh, I saw Devontae was. I didn't know.
Well, now Lazard and Valdez-Scantling are out.
Okay. Well, so then I definitely won't bet on the Packers to win. Yeah. But I still think they got a little upset potential. So I'll pick that as my game. But again, San Diego State, Fresno State is.
Hey, if you were up at like 11 o'clock Saturday night, you were going to thank me. Just click it.
Yeah.
So
I know your bedtime.
Some interesting. Always interesting to see what your guys' favorite game or most look forward to game is going into the week. So that kind of wraps it up. I guess if you guys are good, all hearts and minds clear. Said everything.
I do have one more thing to say.
Okay.
Shout out to the Atlanta Braves for making the World Series after everybody counted them out when Acuna got hurt. Shout out to the Braves for beating
already
so
up
many
one.
And they're up and they're losing the Astros right now. But anyways, just shout out to them. I mean, just it's awesome. And then yeah, that's it. That's all I had to say. And Charlie Moore was a bad man.
Agreed.
Pitching with a broken leg. Sorry. I'm not going to get on a soapbox.
But anybody, of course, watching this, make sure you like and subscribe. Tell us who's your Halloween scare for the week? Who should be scared for an upset? Also, what game you most looking forward to? Derek, do you have any inspirational quote for us? I tried to give something last week. You kind of inspired us all from the video you posted and leaving something inspirational for everybody at the going into the rest of the week.
No matter what happens in your life, you will never be Penn State losing to Illinois in 9 overtimes. So stay optimistic, my friends.
Pretty inspirational. So there you have it. There's the quote of the weekend. But as always, thank you all for watching, and thank you guys. We'll see y'all.
Peace.